Hello, Mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
So, old Bob, it's just you and me for this episode of the First Circuit Podcast, and today we'll be looking at the Rifleman, the Mechwarrior 5 Pre-Order Mechs, and the patch notes, all coming out on Tuesday.
Yay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, let's go and look at the Rifleman 2C, and I think the most important thing first is the size comparison. This is a big boy.
Yeah, it is huge, actually. I noticed that. Damn. But it has a big head.
Yeah, it stands like, what, taller than the Awesome, taller than the Cataphract, almost as tall as the Atlas. It's presenting quite a big torso, like a really wide torso to the enemies. And compared to the Catapult, 65 tons, this thing's huge.
Well, yeah, I think, though, that is an normal Rifleman size comparison the same as the Atlas, or like, what is it, like a little bit smaller?
The regular Rifleman's only 60 tons, and I swear it's not as tall as this.
Yeah,
and,
this is...
and as wide. Like, the thing with the Inner Sphere Rifleman is it's quite a slender guy, whereas this Rifleman 2C looks really big, at least in the size comparisons they've given us.
Yeah, it's freaking huge. I mean, a awesome is pretty big and awesome, and let alone this thing's gonna be right next to it, so big as well. Oh my god. Oh
Yeah,
jeez.
I wonder. It's kind of funny. Last time we had the Warhammer 2C. Like, if you put Warhammer 2C with its smaller model when it originally came out
Yeah.
compared to the Rifleman 2C, I think the Warhammer's still a bit bigger, but not that much bigger, and that mech's like 15 tons heavier. So yeah, the Rifleman 2C isn't starting out too great with its size. I will still say though, as ever, it is a mech that wants to hill hump, and all that space below the weapons can be hidden behind a hill.
That is true. That is true. But although it does have a big hat, that's the only problem. But it has freaking laser
Yeah.
beams in its head. That's a bonus.
Yeah, that hat though is going to be. I'm really interested how that hat will work, hitbox wise.
Yeah,
Because that can really make or break the Rifleman 2C, because it's going to expose quite a lot before it can actually start shooting because of that damn hat. If you took off the hat, it would be a lot better mech.
well, like Large and I, we actually practice with the Marauder 2C, and you can actually hit that gun from all angles, no matter what it is, and get front torso, easy peasy. And this hat
Yep.
might be the same thing, and I think that that's gonna break it pretty much. I mean, it's a cool mech in lore terms as far as the second line mech. It's cool and everything, but in Mechwarrior terms, I'm not sure this is gonna be any good, especially with that hat.
It's an interesting question. So if you're shooting at the Rifleman, directly from the side, you could shoot the hat. Is that always going to be CT? My guess is that the sides of the hat are going to count as side torsos, which means as long as you're shooting the sides of the hat, you can easily side torso this mech.
That would be
From most
interesting.
angles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they make the hitboxes like that, that would actually be good. I mean, that would actually make this mech a little bit better. But if it's just like we're talking about, which is just like center
Well,
torso,
any time that a single component is easy to focus, that's a problem.
yeah,
Whether it's center torso or side torsos, because you're still losing half your mech if you lose a side torso, and of course, if you lose your center torso, you lose the whole mech. And someone being able to always focus that down is a problem. The Rifleman 2C will probably have the same problem as the regular Rifleman. Like, the regular Rifleman, if you're shooting it from the side, its arms and legs actually cover the vast majority of its body, and that means you're doing trash damage to the limbs, so to speak. Though the Rifleman always has the weakness that you just shoot his waist, and it's really hard for the Rifleman to effectively shield his waist.
yeah.
Most people don't know with the Rifleman that if someone's shooting your waist, you have to look down, but then you expose your nose. So at least when I'm in the Rifleman, I do this. Like, some people think I'm freaking out, but I'm actually just wiggling my arms up and down to shield my nose and my waist. But this mech, if I'm trying to shield from the side, I'm going to wiggle up, down to my waist and up all the way to my sombrero. Like I'm just waving at my enemy to shield myself, which is a huge pain in the ass. But usually, at least with these fire support mechs, if
You're,
you're hard shielding like that, you're in a bad situation anyway.
well, yeah, definitely. These are definitely second line mechs. You're not supposed to go toe to toe with any type of assault mechs or even an Atlas or something like that. But I am curious though, why in the hell did they actually have a picture of it above? I don't understand that. I'd never seen them actually do this before. Like on the
Hmm.
bottom, it shows an Atlas and a Rifleman 2C, and it shows from a top. Is that for jump capable mechs just to see what it looks like, or like what? I don't understand why they had that picture in there. That's just bizarre.
It's just they were trying to show off its dimensions, and I actually don't mind that. You get more angles than just the front view. I kind of wish, in fact, you had front view, rear
Back
view,
view.
side view, like particularly just front sides can give you a lot a lot more to work with because, but yeah,
I don't know.
so size-wise, it's got some problems at least. A lot of people wondering whether this should, be shrunk down a little bit. It seems really big for a 65 tonner. However, we also do have the quirks.
Yes, yes, the quirks. As almost I think every mech has plus 100% sensor range, which is good. Just like the Cyclops has 150, this has 100 because obviously it has a hat of all seeing. So
Hmm.
one of the things that it is nice. Each one obviously has different things you go with, like the God, I can't even see this. Hold on a second. I had to zoom in to go look at this because they don't have the pictures like up there. To go ahead and click in there. The Rifleman 2C, I guess Rifleman 2C, range plus 10, large pulse laser. So I'm looking at this one as a really nice looking one for a lot of large pulse lasers coming about. Plus 2 is beautiful. That is really nice. I like that. The
Yeah,
the 2, it just has range and sensor, has range and sensor range, obviously.
all of them just have 10% range and the sensor range
Yeah,
as a minimum.
yeah,
So the Rifleman 2, which has 6 ballistic mounts, so something like 6 AC2s, is only getting range and sensor range, which for AC2s is kind of useful, kind of not. Like it really helps you just spray range damage, downrange at
yeah.
extreme distances. So the range is nice, but it's always nice to see heat gen or cooldown or something like that. And there's no survival on any of them that I've
No,
seen.
nope.
Um, so they are fairly sparsely quirked. The 2 extra large pulse lasers means you can fire 4 large pulse lasers all together on the starting Rifleman 2C.
Yeah.
Um, that is a great amount of pinpoint fire up to like 660 meters range. Um, my big question, of course, is how much does that heat spike? Even without the ghost heat, large pulse lasers are pretty toasty. Um, so who knows if that's actually a viable build? Of course, if not, you can just do a whole bunch of medium lasers and a couple of larges or something like that. The
Yeah,
typical Hellbringer type builds. And
yeah.
because it's a battle mech, you can sort of you can a lot more fiddle with the build. Though it should be noted, of course, with almost or I think all these Rifleman 2Cs, they have an engine cap of just 235, the same engine as a blackjack. So they are going assault mech speeds.
Well, like we keep on saying though, they're just range mechs, and that's it. You're not supposed to brawl with these things. But yeah, yeah. I I, I don't know. I'm not too keen on these types of mechs. I do like the 2C concept though, as far as the clans took them and then they refitted them with clan technology and either upped them or reduced down the tonnage on them to make them more viable in what they're doing. But as far as Mechwarrior wise, I don't know if these are actually going to do any good. Um, I know, like I might have some fun with it, but it's just I'll probably have some fun with it and then mothball them like normal.
Yeah, so for the most part, the quirks are not that interesting. I would
Yeah,
say that the heat scale limit on the large pulse lasers is very intriguing. If it works out nicely, that's great. The big one to look out for is the Rifleman 2CA. That one could do 4 energy and 2 ballistic, so your typical energy, Gauss laser vomit build. And it can also take a larger engine, like up to 315, which means it
Mm.
can actually go a half decent speed,
Yeah.
and you don't have to have so many external double heat sinks. Um, and that one also has, a 10% ballistic cooldown. So that means your gross rifles are firing just a little bit faster, and your mediums or larges or whatever you throw onto that have an extra 10% range. So that's going to be a good fire support mech. But unfortunately, you have to get the reinforcements to get that mech.
Yeah.
I'd also quite like the hero. Its mixed loadout of ballistic energy and missile has a universal 10% cooldown, which is quite a bit like for some reason the hero is getting the special treatment for today.
You
And
and you normally don't like heroes.
well, usually the philosophy that PGI has adopted is that since heroes are behind a paywall, you shouldn't make them stronger than the other variants, because that makes the game, or at least brings up complaints of pay to win. And it does feel really bad if you're, grinding up C-bills and you say, okay, so which Jenna should I get? And people say, get the Oxide.
Yeah.
Or get a whole bunch of other mechs like the Quick Draw. You're best off getting the hero. And that's not necessarily the best spot for any mech chassis to be in. And I like mixed loadout weapons. I like the cooldown quirk on it, and it's just odd that this is the only one that really has gotten a solid cooldown quirk. Like the two ones that had the most solid hard points, or the most interesting hard points from my personal perspective, got the best quirks. It's very odd how PGI do their quirkage, and it often just seems like darts at the dartboard with PGI.
Well, and what'd you put
Yeah.
on this thing? What'd you put on this?
I don't know. I'm not actually. I might purchase the hero. At least, all I bought is the standard pack thus
Okay.
far. Um, the thing with the hero is indeed a big question of what do you throw on it. The ballistics and missiles are stuck in the arms, and you're only still a 65 tonner, so it's a bit hard to do something like UAC 20s and ATMs, despite how awesome that sounds.
Yeah.
Um, I would say at least because this thing has sensor range and range nodes, these are useful for lock-on weapons. Sensor range allows you to lock onto ECM more easily. It gives you 25 meters more distance, and every little bit helps against ECM.
Yeah.
And the range helps with your streaks and ATMs, particularly like ATMs. It means you can reach out just that extra further and get the 3 points of damage or 2 points of damage or whatever. And those will have a 10% cooldown. So two ATM 12s with extra range, sensor range, and cooldown on the hero. That's not too bad with some laser backup.
Yeah, that'd be it'd be interesting to go see. Obviously we're gonna do a report when everyone has them in next week and see how they work and see what's going on with these things. See how
For
they
the
are and
most part,
everything.
though, my thoughts about it before is at least there's a lot of very strong competition for Clan 65 tonners. Hellbringer and Ebon Jag both have fairly good peaking
Yeah.
profiles, and being Omni-Mechs are able to really mix up their hard points. They're also, going the regular 80 kph, whereas the Rifleman 2C is always really slow.
Hmm.
So does the Rifleman 2C really offer anything special, particularly since it might not even be as good at peaking as, say, Hellbringer or Ebon Jag because it has the silly sombrero on its head? And quirk-wise, it just doesn't have. A lot of the variants do not have much going for it, and
Yeah.
the ones that do are behind the reinforcement pack or the hero add-ons.
Yeah, actually, you're right about that because I mean, literally, like a Hellbringer is like the meta of all metas now, and using that compared to this because you got speed, you got massive firepower for what it is, and you just got a little just poke and peek and shoot and everything. This rifleman or these riflemen's you're looking at speed is going to be your major downfall for the at least I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a a big issue with a lot of Omni-Mechs. So the Epijag and Herobringer are actually the best about it is that most Omni-Mechs are stuck putting weapons and equipment in their arms because all the fixed slots are in their side torsos.
Yeah.
Epijag and Hellbringer don't actually have a problem but the Ebajag does sometimes have problems with not enough hard points in the side torsos. But that's all irrelevant because the poor Rifleman 2C has always got its weapons stuck in the arms, and those arms can be good shields. They can also be easy to focus down, which makes the mech, uh, very vulnerable to enemy fire. Like if you shield well and get the arms taking a lot of fire, well done. You've just lost half your firepower anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And again, it's only the reinforcements and the heroes that really have any side torso hard points to really play with. So yeah, it's a wait and see, but this thing has a lot of very stiff competition, and it doesn't bring too much special to the table. All of them, almost all of them, can take jump jets. So they can technically do something like PPC jump sniping that the other 65 tonners can't do.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I am not sure though if you want to shove 4 PPCs on a Rifleman 2C. That's a bit toasty in my opinion, or at least it probably is, and you're pretty slow. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the clan mech players make out of this mech. For the most part, though, I think it doesn't add too much to the game, and there's a lot of issues of the engine speed in particular.
Yeah.
Size and engine speed. There's lots of negatives on this mech on paper. It looks like.
Well, yeah, like we'll see basically when it does come out, and on that Tuesday when everyone uses a heavy mech, and then the long waiting queue for that. So we'll definitely see, and then next week we'll go ahead and go over like what we like and don't like about the Rifleman 2, or just, just a mech.
A hilarious thing we could do when it comes out. If you are playing with some mates on that day, all of you take something like assassins, weapon mechs that are really good up close, and you just bum rush the rifleman and blow off their arms. Just leave a bunch of waddling torsos in your wake. Oh, that would be hilarious. It's just because they're all going to be trying to hill hump, and you're just like, nope, charge you. We're going to charge you down.
That sounds like something on Friday night.
If people are still playing it by that point.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that was a Rifleman 2C. Next up are the new mechs coming out for the pre-order for Mechwarrior 5. So we'll get to that real quick here. Interesting mechs. Just a little history note here for me. Or just let everyone know, I put the code on my alt account, which is all Inner Sphere, because obviously these are all Inner Sphere mechs. Because I wanted to have some extra mechs to go play with, because I was getting lonely with all the mechs I have. I don't have much on this alt account, so I've been doing that.
They all have a Seatbelt boost if you got the pre-order.
Yeah. So this is good. They all have a seatbelt boost. We're gonna show you the quirks and see what they go for them. But obviously it's a catapult, the warhammer, the marauder, and the king crab. So these are all like interesting mechs to go ahead and use. Each one has their own different type of like really cool thing for them. Obviously,
so to speak, cool.
So to speak, kind of. Basically, I think wasn't the marauder had what?
Well, let's go them through them one by one.
Okay.
So to start with, we have the Catapult C2. This one has a unique trait of having ballistic side torsos, like the Catapult K2, and missile arms. So ballistic and missile on the same catapult. And unlike the K2, it can take jump jets.
Yep.
Quirk-wise, it has the same agility as all the other catapults, and very underwhelming weapon quirks. It looks like it's just 10% range, LB cooldown quirk, and an LRM velocity quirk.
Yep.
So a lot of the catapults usually get air cooldown quirks, if not for just the missiles, often both missiles and energy. So this one is a bit lower on the DPS side, or at least it can't focus so much on just a couple big weapons and have them fire as quickly like other catapults typically can. I mean, the K2 as well doesn't have cooldowns to be fair. I'm still just my big issues with this catapult is that missiles are kind of heavy, ballistics are kind of heavy, and you want a decent loadout with both. It's really hard to find the tonnage on a 65 tonner. That really makes sense, and because it's a catapult, those big missile arms get blown off easily. So you might as well just focus on ballistics. And if you're just focusing on ballistics, all you want is a couple of energy backup. And oh, look, we're back to the K2.
Oh, God. Yeah, you're right about that, actually. And both of them actually do have plus 30% quirk, too. So does this actually add or subtract from actually just using a K2 mech? If you want to, I guess, just have missiles or something like that.
The only thing this can do ballistic wise over the K2 is do something like, you could do two AC-20s with lots of jump jets and jump snipe, something like that.
Yeah.
Jump snipe course rifles. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think all of these loyalty mechs, they're not necessarily going to be, meta changes. But if you like your catapults, this is an interesting new mech to try out. I imagine the best thing you could do with it is something along the lines of two LB10 and SRMs in the arms. You turn it into a bit of a brawler. It's going to be an awkward brawler, but it can sort of do it. But then
Yeah.
the range doesn't really help you. You want just cooldown quirks, and that's what this thing is missing. It is underquirked for such a weak mech on paper.
Very true. Very true. So, okay, what about the Warhammer then?
All right, the Warhammer. This is what, 9D. Yeah, this one is got the unique traits of being a Warhammer that can take jump jets,
Yep.
and it can take a max 400 engine. So it's a speedy, jumpy Warhammer with a lot of energy, 4 in the torsos and 3 in the arms. Quirk-wise, it's just another plain 10% range quirk, the regular old survival for most Warhammers.
Yeah.
PPC velocity of 15. Do not be fooled by Warhammer PPC velocity quirks. They are a trap. I would say this mech, I'm a little disappointed. It didn't get jump jet quirks. It's got the same agility quirks as the other Warhammers, which really doesn't reward you for taking a larger engine. I wish this Warhammer to somewhat give at least something slightly unique to it would be a little bit better agility stats. As it stands, though, the new Marauder that's coming out has better agility than the XL400 Warhammer. So this guy's going to be a big, clumsy boy who range is nice, but again, it's very underwhelming. It's just another Warhammer, and I swear there's other Warhammers that you
That's
have
probably
lots of
better.
energy, yeah, and missile on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really looked too much into these mechs though, but just listening to this and actually looking at the quirks and stuff like that, just like you said, it's a trap. I know I always change the most of the time with the PPCs, especially since I'm a lore freakazoid, I like to have them in an arm so they look like a Warhammer, and I always change them out to large pulse lasers or something like that, just because heat wise, the heat is just freaking just astronomical for the Innisphere ER PPCs. So we change them out to something different. But yeah,
the only thing, the only, if you're selling this and to an educated, customer,
it could
you're
jump.
saying, all right, take this Warhammer 7S. You take the Warhammer 7S, knock off all the missile hard points, and add an energy hard point, add jump jets, add 10% range, and there you go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Remember the 7S, the Warhammer that most people don't really use as an energy boat? Yeah, well, now we have a pure energy boat that can jump.
I think isn't one of the Roughnecks much better than Warhammer actually, as far as an energy boat? Because I know there's one with 7 or 8 energy for one of the Roughnecks compared to the Warhammer with 7 energy, or even this one.
Yeah, there's a Roughneck with 4 energy, 2 energy in its side torso and an energy head, so it can have 5 high energy mounts. Whereas this is, of course, only doing 4 energy mounts, and the Roughneck itself has way better survival quirks than the Warhammer. So yeah, I mean, there's always going to be better alternatives, but even within the Warhammer family, I kind of wish in some ways this particular Warhammer, what's it got starting with its regular weapon? Because I feel like it should get really strong PPC quirks. That would have been cool. That would have been interesting, because then you have a jump jet Warhammer with PPC quirks, and it's got the velocity, yeah, it's got the range, but where's the heat gen? It's okay. It exists.
We'll see when it comes out. Obviously, this will be played a lot. This will be all over the place. And what's gonna be hard though is with all these heavy mechs, coming out. There's only four. There's four different types of mechs, and then one chassis of the Rifleman IIC. So when they start coming out that day, don't even plan on playing a heavy mech at all, because you're not going to be able to get inside.
Well, the matchmaker will
Yeah,
just have teams of heavies going up against teams of heavies.
Yeah.
It'll work out, but you have to expect you're going to be facing mostly heavies. If you're taking your a flea into the battle, expect to duel with a lot of big guys.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So Marauder
Great.
Mad Knight M.
So this one is just like the other missile Marauder in terms of hard points. It can't take jump jets, but in its center torso, it is able to take ECM. And on top of that, its missile hard points are spread out on both side torsos rather than just the left side torso. So already to start with, this one had the best, most interesting hard points of all, or at least the best hard points in my opinion of all the prospective new mechs. And it's got at least it's got your weaker Marauder survival stuff. That's fine. It has ECM. ECM mechs usually don't get that stuff. It also has an interesting heat scale limit quirk for ER large lasers. You could fire 4 ER large lasers at once on this mech, which is kind of interesting.
I don't think I ever did that for any type of mech though. Oh, a streak SRM cooldown. That's interesting.
A fairly strong streak SRM cooldown, but you can of course only take streak 12. And of course, as we know with the AMS nerfs, streaks were hurt the most. So you're taking like 9 tons of weaponry to get just 7 HP of missiles.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything else working for streaks. It doesn't have the range quirks like the others have gotten. It doesn't have cooldown or sensor range or anything like that. So yeah, this mech is just solid, or at least it's interesting, and it's one of the stronger mechs hardpoint wise. It's equal to its contemporaries, if not better, due to ECM. The heat scale limit quirk is interesting. The streak cooldown quirk is there. So this one is the one, at least, I'm most looking forward to personally.
Well, obviously it's a Marauder too, so I like that as well.
A Marauder, regular Marauder. Thankfully, it's not.
Sorry. Yeah. Standard Marauder. So yeah, definitely. The ECM is going to be interesting though to check that out and go ahead and have. I'm always a big Marauder fan. They could take up lots of punishment. It's amazing how much punishment these things can take. I've been in some games where it's just like, how in the hell did I live this thing? But they're very good mechs to go and have, like in general.
It doesn't have the Marauder 3R's survival.
I know.
It has the regular Marauder survival. But the thing is, of course, ECM is just going to really help you out. Oddly enough, at least, if I were talking quirk-wise, the catapult should have gotten cooldown. And this Marauder, at least, would have really liked range, because ECM really likes longer ranged playstyles where, of course, you're not so easy to detect at distances. As it stands, though, that's not really the case. But hey, you can fire 4 ER large lasers with it. I don't know if that's good though.
Yeah, I know.
It's interesting though. It's something, at least with all heat scale limit quirks, I like checking it out at least once.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, think of this: you can take 4 ER large lasers and streak backup for any lights that try and take down the sniper.
That's the point. But the ER larges are in the arms though, which are kind of like low mounted.
Yep. Yeah. And you can't put them in the head. So yeah, only in the arms. Oh dear. Still interesting. Yeah, it's the most interesting new Mechwarrior 5 mech.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that last but not least is the King Crab. I haven't really looked at this guy yet.
Yeah, so this one, its only unique feature is the missiles are spread between both side torsos. This means, at least with the current meta, you're with IS, particularly 100 tonners, you're best off usually taking lots of MRMs. But having 4 missiles stuck in the side torso meant you ran out of slots before you could run out of tonnage with those MRMs. Being able to split it into the right torso really helps with making this into a big MRM or even an LRM boat if you really must. Otherwise, energy in the side torso, ballistics in the arms. It's your regular King Crab. And quirk-wise, it's okay. 10% energy cooldown, 10% ballistic cooldown, 10% additional Gorse cooldown. So 20% Gorse cooldown. That's pretty interesting.
That's not bad.
The large pulse laser cooldown and streak heat 2 heat almost is pointless to print. I wish they didn't bother.
Streak 2 heat. Oh my god, really?
Particularly streak 2 heat. You can vote for streak 2s and have them be a little bit less hot. Why do they should just not bother with those kind of quirks, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of mechs. Although I did have fun with the Marauder 2 streak boat, and I used a bunch of streak 2s. It was fun. Didn't have any
So
streak
that could
quirks.
actually boat 9 streak
Yeah,
2s.
yeah,
This could
actually
only
9.
boat
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, true. That is true. But yeah, that's pretty interesting actually. Huh. Wow.
Compared to other king crabs, if you're going for a ballistic loadout, most the king crab quad 0 can do 15% cooldown. The others are specialized for AC20 or other bits and bobs, usually AC20s. So the biggest draw for this thing was missiles, and it didn't get much quirk for missile. Other king crabs might still be slightly better missile makes, other than the fact you can spread them. So
Yeah.
it's another king crab. I don't think the king crab is actually that good, or at least I'm not a big fan of it. The nice thing with missile side torsos is, of course, they're nice and height mounted. You don't have you're not dragging your arms across the floor. So even though you got 20% Gauss cooldown, which is really interesting, or at least it's neat enough to look into, I'm just going to be putting MRMs both side torsos in this thing, and just using it as a good peeking mech.
Yeah, the Gauss is cool and everything. I do think so a lot of people will start using the heavy Gauss in the arms because obviously they're gonna be in the arms. That's
You
interesting.
can't heavy Gauss arms.
Oh, you can't do that in the arms, huh?
Not enough slots.
Oh, okay, never mind. Just normal Gauss rifles then.
Yep, you can do Gauss or light Gauss.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
I forget. Can you fit 2 light Gauss in the arms?
I'm not sure.
I think you can. Yeah, you can do quad light Gauss, 20% cooldown. That is something. When light Gauss came out, king crabs were running around with quad light Gauss. This will be the light Gauss king crab. And remember, you never really see light Gauss king crabs because they weren't that good. But
Yeah.
you could be the best of them. Right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh my god. Well, we'll see. I'll test it out and see how it is. Obviously I only get one, so I'll put some light Gauss in there and see what happens. Might be fun, might
These
not
mechs, yeah, all these mechs were given away basically sort of as freebies, as an extra incentive. If you got Mechwarrior 5 because of this incentive, I don't know why you did, but thank you anyway for supporting PGI, I guess. But yeah, they're all different and interesting, quirk-wise, weapon point-wise, though. Eh.
Well,
They're there.
they're free afterwards because I guess they probably didn't get enough money. So like, hey, let's put out some mechs and hopefully people go ahead and use this to go get, go get some more pre-orders for Mechwarrior 5. I don't know, who knows. But yeah, they were just there. They were after the fact. I guess Russ wanted to go put some stuff out there. Say, hey, yeah, get this food.
Yep. If you're getting them, at least, I think the Marauder and the King Crab are quote unquote the best, in the sense that they're just as good as your average Marauder or King Crab.
Yeah.
Whereas the Catapult really needed some quirks to help it out because it has a very awkward combination of weapons hardpoints, and the Warhammer, energy Warhammers still don't really work too well.
You actually think that the paint jobs are going to look like this?
So they do actually show preview images for the Mechwarrior 5 mechs in the developer update.
Oh, I'll check that out. Yeah, I'll
And
go and leave a link.
they do look as they've been advertised. They look kind of swanky. I like the grey with gold. It's nice. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, might as well just mention the developer update. Russ Bullock will have a live developer update on all things MWO with No Guts, No Galaxy, I think, on May 24th.
It'll be interesting. They'll be talking about a bunch of different. We talked about this last week, but obviously we're going to talk about it again. Anyway, hey, go watch it.
Yep, they'll be covering probably the next MechCon, the next Mechwarrior Online World Championship, and the future of mech packs. Because as we discussed last week, we should be expecting like 2 or 3 mech packs or whatever at this point, and they've not been coming out. What has BGO been doing into what's their plans for future content for MWO?
Exactly. Okay, so next is the dreaded patch notes.
First quick little thing is trial mech update. They're switching out the trial mechs, which is a little nuisance because the current event that's still, I think, is still going when the patch goes live, just at least for a day or two.
Yeah.
If you for those last 2 days, you can't actually use. They switched the trial mechs out. I think the Warhawk's
Ooh.
still there, Hellbringer's still there, but I think some of them at least are switched out, so you can't do all of the events, which is
Do you
kind
think
of
they
annoying.
actually thought about that though? I don't think they would. I don't. Wow. Guys,
I
they
don't think
can't
they
complete.
necessarily thought about it.
Yeah. That's funny.
In the end, this hopefully won't affect too many people if you're leaving it the last couple of days and you don't own all the mechs for the event. You should do it before the patch goes live.
Yeah, definitely.
For the most part, though, all you're missing out is just a couple of days of premium time, which would be nice once you got all these new mechs and the patch goes live. All right.
Faction play.
Oh
God.
It's been delayed.
A
Again.
hot fix rescheduled after the patch releases, so probably about a week. I think maybe a week at the most. Another delay. I don't mind delays. I really don't. If they do a good job in what they're working for to make sure it's right. If they do a good job. If it's God. Hold on a second. I gotta collect myself. Okay, I'm back. So yeah. God, I don't know what to say about this. They're going a route which is fine. It's okay. It's okay. But it's not gonna actually improve faction warfare. I'm still trying to figure out what the conflict can be any of a 1-4 predetermined map states 30, 50, 52, 57, or 62. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Are they gonna have like this week it's gonna be 30-50, next week will be 30-57, or what does that mean? I have no clue like what that stuff means. The thing that pisses me off the most is they need to fundamentally change faction warfare, which they didn't do. All they did was really change the Elio, which that needed it anyways. They needed the zero, they need the Elio change because you're fighting groups that know every nook and cranny of the battlefield. They'll just shoot you, and then you'll be dead because you're a newbie versus the top of line like IanDresarie or a top of line faction warfare players. But they needed to change something about this whole different system, and all they did was change the story quote. You have from what I understand, it's a story of phases or something like this. Run it like understand. So like you'll have like you go to a planet and that planet has they make up some story like this is something going on here. Okay, then you go and fight these phases. First you got scouting, then you got the normal faction warfare playing all these different types of things, which okay, and then every time you do a match there might be a couple matches from what I like I said, I'm just doing from what I quote read. I could be wrong on this, but going in and then doing a couple matches, and each match you get a certain amount of C-bills and like all that kind of stuff. You have matches to go ahead and see if you win that planet. Now as far as like when they have the map states or the predetermined maps, what is it like? Is Marok taking over, or is it Chaos March out there? Is because there was there are a couple of things that happened within that time. I think 3062 is when the FedCom Civil War started. So are they going to have battles between there? What is the maps going to be like looking like, and who's going to be out there? Because obviously the clans were already there. A little bit past Two Kid, but they fought amongst themselves. They fought amongst Skyner versus Jade Falcon. So what is this going to look like? What how will these maps conflicts be determined? And for what this is happening, from my understanding, is that you just go in and go do the stuff with no consequences whatsoever throughout anything. So it's really no incentive to go play these games except for 5% extra, 5% extra C-bills. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I guess I'm not sure. And they fix the Elio system, so like you're not fighting. They're gonna put the groups together. So this 8-man group will fight this 8-man group, but then they'll fill it up with Elio skilled players. So like you'll be like the top solo player that goes inside. There will be on one side, another top solo will be on the other side, then go down the list, and they'll be grouped together. So that's how the kind of like what they fixed. They didn't fix anything else, nothing, and it irks me. And I hope it does well. I really do. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's so to give my understanding, at least to try and
Yeah, go
explain
ahead.
it another way, would be, currently at least with faction warfare, you select what you are, and then you just click the Fight Now button, and you select either invasion or scouting.
Yeah.
What they're doing is when you select what you are you a loyalist, are you a mercenary, are you a freelancer? You then choose a faction to join for that week. And as far as I'm aware, you can't switch factions. And then you click the Play Now button, and the Play Now button will put you into a certain type of match depending on the phase. So I forget exactly what, but basically at the very beginning, it's all just scouting, of the week. For the first phase, and then you have invasion drops where it's just 4 drops into skirmish, let's say, or conquest. And then at the very end of the week, it's all just siege mode, where one team has to defend a base and the other team has to attack, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes faction play a lot more structured, and it makes a rhythm to the week. The question, at least for us in the podcast, we do not play much faction play, and so therefore we aren't probably going to be touching this no matter what PGI did for the most part.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, though, at least if you wanted, like, the nice thing with the current system was if you liked scouting, you just click the scouting button and you started scouting. If somebody, you wanted to play with someone with scouting, and they're on the other faction, they were clan and you're in the sphere, they could instantly switch. With this system, though, you're going to have a lot of issues with bringing together lots of disparate groups, because some may be allied with one side, some might be allied with the other side, and you can't switch. And if you're really looking for invasion mode, but it's currently scouting, you're out of luck. That's at least my take of it, that it's a lot more restrictive in how you can play. And if you're really looking for just a certain experience, you have to come on at the right times or the right days, which doesn't seem too good an idea in my opinion. But in some ways, at least, if you really enjoyed faction play, or I mean, this is the thing I don't know. If you've been playing MWA and faction play for so long, you aren't in it for the story, are you? It feels like you're in it for playing together with a group of mates for a 30-minute long match where you have 4 drops and you're playing against the enemy team and utterly dominating them, or holding the line. There's a lot of fun stories in that, and I think that's what, if you're playing this long, you're in it for the gameplay more so than the story, in my opinion.
I mean, the story doesn't really, it doesn't really hinder. Like, this is actually just something added into it, though. But what they're trying to do, just like you said, that's more structured. So like you're looking at the overall story. The first phase will affect affect the next one. So let's say you do a defense or something like that. Do like it goes to a different story type thing of like you got to defend this, or like evacuation of the planet. That's probably like what the story is. It's not going to affect you killed like Janus Merrick and he's dead now, so you take over the whole Merrick or something like that. It's not gonna be anything like that. It just adds something to it. I don't mind it. That's not too bad. I just don't like the structure content of it, because I think a lot of people like, we're gonna take over Steiner, and then they go off and this whole like MS takes over like Steiner and just goes balls to the wall like against them.
It's not player driven anymore.
Yeah.
At least it's going to be you're playing a set role, and as they sort of imply, at least they're saying there's 4 predetermined map states. So 4 starting map states that a conflict starts unfolding. So you're sort of role playing an actual conflict from the lore. You're not crafting your own story. You're just playing as a clan pilot invading the inner sphere.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like it, and then I don't like it. I can say I love the story aspect, but then I don't like the structured aspect, because I like the freedom of let's go take over the planet, because that's that's Luthien, and let's go take it over and piss everyone off or something like that. So just God, just irks me to no end. Sorry.
In the end, at least we have to give, or at least I'm going to give the caveat that, of course, we aren't faction players,
Yeah.
and this is just our surface interpretation of the phase system. And for me, I'm not the biggest fan of it. If I want to just do scouting, I wish I like just clicking the button and it works.
Yeah.
And if I'm trying to get some people together and someone's on the other faction, they just, they switch factions and we can just play, because that's what I'm into. I like just playing the game for the gameplay.
For me, I'm
Other
more
changes,
into the lore.
yeah,
I'm sorry, like I'm more like in the
yeah,
lore and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I don't mind it, but then I don't like it as well too, like the structure part. So and I
yeah,
used to play a lot of faction play before, but I stopped because it just turned out to be nothing burger. And this is
yep.
what I'll try it.
But,
I'll give you my interpretations like later. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so that's our discussing of the phase system. The next thing is the new changed matchmaker. On paper, I actually do much prefer the sound of it, at least in the sense groups go up against groups, solo puggies go against solo puggies as best as possible,
Yeah.
and they're trying to do an ELO based on your tier and stuff like that. So you're trying to put good players against good players, bad players against bad players. That's a lot better than the current system where if you're playing solo, you might be, in a group of 12 solos against a 12-man coordinated team, and you just get ruffle stomped. And that's that element of randomness is really not fun for the solo puggies. And I imagine it's the fun thing with groups is that you're going up against other groups. And like ruffle stomps are sort of fun. I must admit, but I like if personally I much prefer an even fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it gets like, sure, you push them all the way back to spawn and kill them when literally they drop out of the drop ship, and that is hilarious. But it's shooting ducks. It's shooting fish in a barrel. It's a duck shoot. And I much prefer it where there's the counterplay. And, you're both vying for the objectives, like it's an actual game.
Yeah.
That's just me though. But yeah, so on paper it's great. The issue is, of course, just like Solaris, you've got the annoying countdown timer constantly going beep 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 boop, and you're just sort of stuck there waiting for the matchmaker to just throw together one match, maybe two matches. Like it really, if there isn't a large enough player base, it's just trying to throw together whoever it can. And all of this supposed improvement might not actually even improve anything, because if you've only got a 12-man and 12 solos, there's not really much, there's no way you could improve that organization. You're always going to have the 12-man goes against the 12 puggies.
Yeah, like I was actually talking to some people that do play faction warfare a lot, and they're saying about on a good night there's about 60 people on a good night. So, I mean, what's gonna happen? I mean, it's
Yeah.
and most
And
of
the
them
thing
are
is,
actually groups.
yeah, and what 24 are locked up 30-minute match
Yeah,
at a time. So 48 are playing, and then you got the left over.
yeah,
Who,
exactly.
So yeah, matchmaker would be great if there's a large enough player base. I sort of doubt it, and the countdown, like the eternal swirly thing, is at least it doesn't constantly tempt you with the idea that something will happen. It doesn't. Whereas the countdown, it's like, look, we've been waiting here for ages, and there's finally enough players on the other side. Just put us in a match. I don't want to wait for the countdown timer.
Yeah, yeah. How about the end of match rewards? It looks like they took your advice and say, "Hey, you get extra seatbelts."
Yeah, so this is double-edged sword, at least in the sense they're trying to emphasize, choosing different roles at the start. So loyalists, I think, are the only ones who earn loyalty points,
Hmm.
and the mercenaries and freelancers, they're only earning that XP or CBIL boost.
I don't know about that one. They're probably looking at this. They're probably going to actually wipe the loyalty for all the different things. I mean, you already have like what you have already, but yeah. I mean, if you want to get points, you got to be loyalist and only be Kurita or or the clans or whatever. Basically,
In the
that
end, at least I could say loyalty points were almost completely forgettable because the rewards are so bad, and the XP and CBIL boosts are so forgettable. You shouldn't worry. You shouldn't lose too much sleep about this.
no, no.
I it all depends, at least in some respects, how in the future they'll change it so that mercenary groups may require you to have more than just one player. Loyalists may actually get some real rewards to buy with their loyalty points in the future. So it all depends. In the end, I don't know. I liked always earning loyalty points, but it was also so almost utterly pointless that I didn't really care. One thing to note, at least for new players, was always that loyalty points, playing faction play was the way to earn MC and mech bays.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're ever starting a new free-to-play account, you're having to go into loyalists, and hopefully, if they change the loyalist rewards, you can still work your way towards MC and mech bays that way.
Well, we'll see. There now, this whole patch isn't going to come out until the hotfix, right? The whole faction warfare patch,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
So
Okay.
who knows? Next week we might not even be able to give our impressions on this system because it's not out yet.
Yeah.
Next week, it might have just come out and we can finally actually see how it all actually works. For now, they've been talking about this for a while. I never really thought it'd be too big of a thing. It's not too big of a thing. I'm not
Mhm.
sure. It is what it is. When I said all you needed to do to make faction play more interesting was just increase the rewards. Funnily enough, they sort of have done that. At the very bottom of the patch notes in bug fixes and improvements, they have general rewards across all game modes have been increased by approximately 15%.
Yeah.
That is really nice. No matter what you're playing, Solaris, Quick Play, Faction Warfare, you're earning 15% more C bills and 15% XP, I assume.
Probably so.
Because they say general rewards, so this is the token stuff you get every single match, which, as far as I'm aware, is only C bills and XP. That's really neat. So you're just playing quick play, you're earning 15% more after each patch. And same for Faction Warfare, you're earning way more when playing the game now. And I wish this was put more prominently, because this is something that, at least from PGI's perspective, is them giving a big bone to the community. Like, your grind is 15% more efficient. That's really nice. And it's put all the way down at the bottom in the tiny little bug fixes and little. It's like
We should
reading
know
the
what it
small.
reads.
Yeah, it's like the small print of the patch notes, which is why I'm mentioning it now. All play is 15% more C bills and GXP.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I like it. Actually, just make it a big bullet point saying, "Here you go, community."
Well, with my alt account though, I was having problems with getting space bucks, and I was just waiting for events to actually get these million
hmm
C bill things. I was like, cool, I got some money now. But this is going to help out so much. I mean, 15%, that's amazing. That's going to help me out so much getting space bucks. So once I buy the engine, I mean, I got 69 mechs or 70 mechs or something. That's a lot of money to go and upgrade the heat sinks, the engines, to go ahead and buy different weapon systems, try those out and everything. The 15% is going to help out, and with this new thing, it's going to be great. I'm glad they did this. I'm very glad they did this.
The only thing I wish why this could almost be expanded upon is them explaining what this actually means, because they're saying approximately 15%. So what it's doing is, when you have premium time, it adds 50% more
Yeah.
C-bill earnings
Yeah.
so let's just say you would earn 100 C-bills, and so premium time turns that into 150 C-bills.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the same though. That 100 C-bills is 10 kill assists. Let's say 10 C-bills per assist. I know that's not the actual number. What this is doing is saying that each of those 10 C-bills is now like 12 C-bills. So you're actually earning 120 in the match, and then you times it by 50%. That's my guess of what's going on, that they're changing the rewards you're getting in game, the base rewards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just my speculation, because that would make sense for them saying approximately. If you come into a match and you're AFK and get killed on spawn, I'm not sure you're actually getting a 50% increase compared to before.
Well, they probably have
It
a
really,
minimum though, like you got to do 15 points of damage on something, or do something like in the game, or move
but you
past one
still
grid.
earn C bills. they give you token amounts of C bills
Yeah.
for this, that, and the other. So even if you do literally nothing, earn a tiny amount of C bills. But that's not really what's important. What's important is, of course, when you're actually playing a match, your kill assists, your kills, tag damage, tag assists, and arc kills, all the bits and pieces that give you C bills. I'm guessing they give you a little bit more C bills, just at that base number, and then you increase it by premium time and
Hero mech.
hero mix. So that 15% is possibly multiplied, by the premium bonuses. So you're earning not just 15% C bills overall. If you have premium time, you're earning 15% times, like what 22% or so.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and 25, 27% roughly, whatever. When you've got a hero mech with premium time, that's a big increase if you're using those C bill boosters.
Well, we'll see if they actually get it right. That's the whole key too. So like I know BrioS did a really good video on like how to earn like C bills like in game. He did a really good video. I'll try to find it and go get you guys a link for it too.
All right, so that leaves us with the last part of the podcast, which is just discussing all these tiny little mech changes and improvements.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Assault jump jets, I think, are class 1 and class 2. All of them. So with class 1 jump jets, the way jump jets work, I think, is the base heat. So if you have one jump jet, it does 3 heat, and then when you add more, they each add, let's say, 0.5 heat. So the first one is 3 when you're using it, then it's 3.5, then it's 4, etc., etc. Roughly, that just going very quickly. And what they're doing is they're reducing the base heat on class 1 jump jets. So these are for the heaviest mechs, which is neat. Cooldown, I think that's the time it takes before it starts refilling. So as class 1 jump jets aren't as ridiculously long to refill their bars. And class 2 jump jets, if you're taking more than one, the heat that they're generating is also slightly reduced. So is this really going to change the world? Not particularly. Don't see many jump jet assault mechs. The only one I would recommend sort of would be the Highlander 2C with 3 PPCs and max jump jet. This will actually benefit because it's a hot mech build. 3 PPCs is hot, and the jump jets really kind of counter, really work against that. Same somewhat with all the heaviest PPC jump mechs, which don't really exist much anymore.
No,
but
that meta's
it's
gone
nice.
actually.
But the biggest issue with assault mech jump jets is always just going to be the huge tonnage investment required for 10 meters jump height. If you jumped more quickly, like it took, I think TTP described it as sort of your mech is farting out. That you put a lot of tonnage to fart. And once the farts are less heat, the problem is you're really not getting much lift from these things.
You basically jump over a stick, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, more or less. So I wish they were just more responsive in some ways. Like it goes from an immersion standpoint. Of course, bigger mechs, their jump jets, of course, would act like this, or at least you're going to have a lot more inertia. You're going to be much more slow, sluggish, and less responsive. But as it stands, these are the heaviest, most ridiculously heavy jump jets in the game, and they are so unrewarding in terms of jump height. And the heat is nice. It means you can actually keep firing and using jump jets, but the problem is just responsiveness through and through.
I rarely use jump jets. I have I think 6 mechs that are jump jet mechs, and that's about it. And I just put stuff into the jump tree, and I don't get into the nitty gritty of it takes 4.2 seconds to jump and go ahead and recharge and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of go, cool, I could jump again, type thing. But it's gonna help though. It's gonna help. So yeah.
There's some things like the Marauder 2. I often will make fun of the Marauder 2, but all the Marauder 2s are able to take jump jets, but that almost never comes up as a relevant factor because you are putting so much tonnage into a very token ability, the ability to jump over small distances, which means as a selling point, it's really not a selling point. It's it's like giving a mecha 5% PPC velocity quirk and nothing else for energy weapons. It's like, yeah, my PPCs are slightly faster, but I'm not going to take it just for that quirk.
Yeah.
It's almost completely forgettable.
Okay,
All
so
right.
yeah, merms velocity increase from 500 from 475, so go a little bit faster. That's kind
A teeny tiny
teeny
bit
tiny.
faster. It means AMS has, if at max range and AMS is all the way along just one, it gets to shoot one or two, about 3 times less. You're
Yeah.
saving 0.05 of a second of travel time or so. It's still nice. It means it's more accurate. It means AMS has slightly less time to shoot things down. Um, I'm fine with this change, more or less. MRMs are a little, they do struggle at their max range, though, and this somewhat is the same case for rockets.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, here's my simple opinion: you should just change rockets to be 500 as well. Just give them the same velocity as MRMs. Why are they slower than MRMs? I don't know. It's just they are randomly.
Unguided or
Because
something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
both are unguided. All
Oh,
unguided
that's right.
weapons,
Yeah, yeah.
SRMs, MRMs, rockets. I think they should all just have a velocity of 50 because SRMs have the same problem. And for some reason, I always say SRMs are obsolete because MRMs have, way more versatility. And MRMs, they're 20% faster. Well, SRMs have 80% the speed of SRMs, which when firing at max range, 270 meters, 500 meters, whatever, MRMs are way more responsive.
Yeah. Hmm.
And PGI heavily nerfed SRM health. No reason. Give SRMs a help, PGI. I've been saying they're obsolete for years now, and they just keep getting nerfed. Or their alternatives that make them obsolete in the first place keep getting buffs.
Well, they're trying
What's
to nerf
going
you,
on?
Biter. They're trying to nerf you, man. That's why. That's definitely
I
why.
don't use SRMs anymore.
Well, before we did.
Well, yeah, I used to use SRMs, but MRMs, have a lot of really useful advantages over them. And those advantages keep going up and up and up. And, so it's like, okay, fine, I can't use SRMs. I go to streaks. And then they nerf streak health, and streaks are really slow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
MRMs, rockets, velocity increased. I think just all direct fire rockets, though, missiles in general should go to MRM speeds. And that'll help
500.
them with, yeah,
Yeah.
nice and simple. And SRMs need the help, rockets need the help. Why are they slower? Who knows?
Okay, mech changes. The 4X. I don't think I even have a 4X. That's the is that the hero?
No,
No?
it's one of the
Okay.
C-Bill Ravens. It
Okay.
has all the various different hard points, so like one missile, two ballistic, a couple of energy or so.
Mm.
It is usually taken as a boom chicken.
Oh, okay.
80-20
Okay.
in the arm. However, it never really had the quirks for it. And in fact, it's missing out on survival compared to the Hugin. This change, universal range will help it become a boom chicken better. Universal 15% cooldown will help it as the boom chicken.
Hmm.
So all nice. Machine gun rate of fire with just 2 machine guns. Don't bother printing useless quirks. They just add clutter to the game.
That's the other thing too. Quality of life improvements. I've been trying to get PGI to do this. The original quirks that it does come with, have them in yellow instead of everything in green, because it doesn't. Because when you get um, the extra ammo rack, it lists all your freaking ammo, even ones you can't even use. It lists those as well. So you're looking through all this different stuff, going, what is the best quirk for this type, or what is the best weapon for this type of mech? And so have it obviously as in yellow. This is what it came with. So we go, it has a plus 40%, PPC velocity. Just like, cool, I'll use some PPCs on it and switch this around. But no, I have to go to the store, check that mech, go look up the quirks, going, okay, I don't want to use that mech. And so it takes me time to go do this. Quality of life improvement, make him yellow. That's it. From Oldbob.
Mm-hmm. So, I think my summation of this web Mechs changes and a lot of the mech changes that we're going to go through is these are mostly incidental changes that give it very tiny benefits. And that's mostly it. So universal 10% range is better than just energy range. So your ballistics and missiles reach out a little further. Is it going to make the mech viable suddenly? Nope, not really. I feel that all the Ravens without ECM should get the same survival buffs as the Hugin, the Raven hero. It feels unfair that you have to pay money to get the only tanky Raven. And yeah, at least in my opinion, usually Ravens aren't actually that good mechs, at least in most people's hands. And even like the ECM Raven should get some base survival quirks to its side torsos, those big, giant, long side torsos.
Yeah.
Because the Raven 4X, all the Ravens, they have plenty of weapon quirks. They can all shoot things, but the biggest problem Ravens have is getting shot at.
The crab, all structure quirks converted into armor quirks. Would that really make it that much of a difference?
Okay,
I
so to explain crab survivability, all crabs get a fair amount of survival, except for the hero and the one that can take jump jets. And instead of just bringing the hero up to all the other crabs, they change it into armor, just making explaining crab survivability that much more complicated for no
yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Uh, that's just my nuisance. There's no rhyme or reason to the consistency of quirks across entire lines of mechs. I
Yeah.
feel the hero should just be brought in line with the other ones. It isn't, so it's still got the smaller survival numbers, but now they're armor.
Well, like, I think basically the structure, though, you do get more percentages off a structure than you do actually armor from the armor quirks for being a medium mech, correct?
Yep.
I think it's like
Yeah, but
3.5.
of course, when people are hurting your structure, they're critting out your
Yeah.
weapons and doing extra damage. So it's a bit hard to tell if armor is strictly better. And armor is, of course, only applied to the front. So if you're ever flanked in a crab,
Hmm.
with the ones with huge amounts of structure, you're actually not killing it by doing a rear side torso hit or a rear center
Yeah.
torso hit. Whereas armor only helps from the front. Still, this particular crab has missile side torso and energy side torso. So its side torsos were the things that really needed protecting. And somewhat also with the arms, if you ever put ballistics in there, you didn't want these weapons being critted out. Whereas other crabs, they often have their energy safely hidden away more safely hidden away in the center torso.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change the mech. It's going to be, on average, it's a slight improvement. I just wish PGI looked at their mechs and compared them and just brought the Florentine up to the standard of the other crabs. Stop making things more convoluted and confusing for no reason. All SRMs the same, all direct fire missiles have the same velocity. All crabs have the same survival. Who cares that it has jump jets? Yeah.
So the Hunchback 4J. Actually, I love the Hunchback 4J. It's one of my favorite mechs to go ahead and use. I know it's just a Lurm 20, but still, it's a lot of fun to play. I've always had fun playing this mech. It's a tough mech, like in itself because of because it's a Hunchback, and plus lore wise, I do like it as well. But the spread, the plus 10% quirk added for LRM spread, nice. It's an added bonus to what they took away, the 60% cooldown rate, which it used to have before the nerf. And then the missile velocity quirk increased from 10% to 15%. It adds, hey, it's something more for this mech that needed just something, because I pretty much put it on the back burner after the cooldown quirk nerf, and this adds something to it. I'm happy with this. I'm very happy with this. This is one of the only things out of all the mech changes that I do like, to tell you the truth.
Okay, so the Hunchback 4J is mostly obsoleted, of course, by the Trebuchet, which
Yeah.
has much better survival, cooldown quirks, and whatnot. This does help its LRM niche a little bit. The spread, you're splatting it like crazy, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The velocity is nice though. It saves like half of a second, which is
Paramount.
0.05 of a second.
Hey,
So
every second counts, man. That's what she said, right?
every little bit helps a little, but for the most part, completely incidental. It's not going to bring the Hunchback 4J up into viability.
It might not, but it makes me feel better.
Okay, the Trebuchet is only getting a 10% SRM heat gen quirk. That's okay. Who cares? SRMs are
Cooldown.
obsolete. The cooldown, that all they're doing is consolidating the quirk.
Yeah.
So that's not actually a buff. All it's getting is a 10% heat. The heat wasn't a problem really too much, particularly with mana potions. That's not really going to help the mech. It's also getting a slight agility increases here and there, and they don't list it in the patch notes, but it is. All right, this one I actually quite like. It's an actual improvement, a good improvement. The Hunchback 2C hero. This one has been always the weakest Hunchback 2C with only 2 high-mounted hardpoints. And it's getting survival across all of its torsos. 12
Hmm.
extra armor is pretty nice. Pretty nice. Or 8 in the center torso. And a slight mobility increase. That's good. It really sucks at shooting things it needs to expose to use its arm mounts, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
And so having survival is what it needs. This is an actual buff rather than token minor increases that we've been seeing. All right, catapults are getting a whole bunch of token quirks.
Oh man.
I will say, what's it? The catapult A1, Ian really likes this one. It gets an extra 5% heat gen. It has 6 missile hard points. It can spam lots of SRMs and the like, and it gets pretty toasty. Very nice. LRM velocity, please no. Catapult Butterbee, yeah, very underquirked for the most part because it's a hero. 5% heat gen. It's nice, though. Catapult missiles, poor guys, you're so easily disarmed. The catapult C1, C4, the catapult Jester, they're all getting universal 10% range quirks, basically. That's a quality of life improvement. The LRM velocity quirks are there. it helps your LRMs get into the.
Plus, it's interesting though. The J gets AMS range quirk. That's that's interesting.
It basically has 10% universal range because it has 10% energy range, and now it's having 10%. It can only take AMS and energy, and both are getting 10% range. If PGI is consolidating quirks, on a lot of these mechs, why didn't they do it on the Jester? Because they didn't read their own mech before quirking it. I don't know. I really like that the Jester has its jump jet capacity doubled. That really helps with its jump sniping capability. If anyone wants to try that, it was needless. I don't know why it was only 2 jump jets. It was really pathetic only having 2 jump jets. And that's nice. That is actually looking outside the box and improving mechs that for some reason were hampered for no reason. And it makes things simpler. Almost all catapults have 4 jump jets now. I don't have to say all catapults have 4 jump jets except the Jester, which has 2, and the K2, which has 0. It just makes life simpler.
Okay, so the Warhammer, their PPCs, they don't have the Black Widow.
So the Warhammer 7S, for example, everyone's been, the Warhammer always tricks people and it says, oh, look, it has PPC velocity. Well, now it has a 5% heat gen. It's still not worth taking PPCs for the most part, but at least when it fools people into taking those weapons, sadly only ER PPCs, they are slightly less screwed than they used to be. 5% streak cooldown. PGI, if you want to give streak quirks, give streaks proper missile health. These weapons are very heavy and really vulnerable to AMS for no reason. Compared to ATMs, just buff Inner Streak health. Stop giving token streak cooldown health quirks. Inner streaks are not usually worth taking.
No, 7S, how many streaks can it take?
You can take 3 missile hard points, so streak 18.
Wow. With a 5% quirk.
It's not a good streak mech. It doesn't really have, it doesn't have the speed, jump jets, or anything like that to chase light mechs and take good positioning. And it's kind of awkward, stuck with also energy weapon backups. So yeah, I don't like it as a streak mech, and the 5% cooldown isn't going to help it. And streaks are in a bad spot because of AMS health. Give streaks a health. Don't bother with these pointless streak quirks until you fix that.
Yeah. 4L, range 10, missile cooldown negative 15%. How many does the 4L have? I thought it was 2.
Let me go and check because no one really uses the missile warhammers.
Yeah, I know.
The 6R has 1.
Yeah, let me check.
4L has 1 hard point. Yeah, there we go. That's right.
1 hard point. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's nice. Your single MRM40 is faster firing. That's really nice because this mech really suffers from its weapons stuck in the arms, which are low and easy to shoot off, or often get shot off. And you really wanted to lean into that 1 missile hardpoint and energy hardpoint in the side torso, and that 1 missile hardpoint didn't have any quirks because PGI just threw darts at the dartboard. Still, 10% range and missile cooldown, very good for the Warhammer.
Okay, the 4 or the 4L for the stealth armor cooldown. I never used stealth armor. I just never had a reason to use it, especially on a Marauder mech or even on a on a heavy mech or even assault mechs. I never really used that kind of stuff. Didn't really appeal to me that much. For the amount of
Stealth, the cooldown for stealth rarely plays a big part, in at least in the sense when you push a corner, you want to usually turn on stealth with these bigger mechs, so that people take a longer time on average to spot you. But once you're spotted, or you fired an alpha strike, you turn it off.
Yeah.
And your plan is then to either engage hard or disengage, and there's no point turning stealth on engaging in the same corner.
Yeah.
So stealth cooldown rarely is important. It's most valuable on smaller mechs where you get in, you get hot, you go out, you turn off stealth, you cool down, and you go in very quickly. Like you're ducking in and out of the fight a lot more often, and you want to feather the stealth button.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Larger mechs though, there's not really a point to it. If you really want to make stealth viable, you want to reduce the stealth heat gen on larger mechs. That will actually make it worth taking. Particularly for a 100-tonner, you're giving up a lot of slots for that stealth. And you want that stealth to not be so heavily impactful. And the 4L, like this, one thing I think, again, to at least mention in TTV's stead, he was expecting the Marauder 2 to
Mhm.
get some buffs, because that mech is not really good. And this is the only buff they've got, and it's not even really worth noting. Like the 4L in particular is not a good mech, more or less. It's really struggling with its hard points. You can sort of be a stealth Gauss PPC sniper, but then again, you just turn on stealth and keep firing. You don't need the cooldown because you're not turning stealth off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an interesting quirk. It will be useful when you actually put it onto light mechs and medium mechs. These
I
big boys, though, no. Try again.
Yeah, basically, I normally just seen him on light mechs at it. Yeah, rarely on a medium mech, but mostly on light mechs like the Flea. I've definitely seen it on the Flea, and that's vicious, vicious little bastard. But
Mhm.
but yeah, like heavy mechs, assault mechs, I've almost never seen it before.
Yeah, it's very niche on the bigger boys,
Yeah.
and it usually just helps with engaging with brawlers. But as a consistent theme with PGI, with their patch notes, their decision making, and we'll get onto this. I think it's very they are really helping mid-range weapons. They're doing plenty of buffs for MRMs, LRM weapons, ATMs get plenty of missile health. All the mid-range weapons, they're getting lots of lovely treatment. Brawling weapons, though, what are brawling weapons? Does anyone even brawl anymore? And we can see this in the really sad King Crab discussion that PGI has given us. People have been asking with all the heat scale limit quirk. King Crab is known for 2 AC20. We have heat scale limit 2 AC20.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
PGI are like, oh, well, we think 40 points of pinpoint damage is too strong. And um, with the
Fafnir.
50% cooldown, it's just going to roll people over. But yeah, Fafnir has dual heavy goose with 10% cooldown, and it does 50 pinpoint damage. And against light mechs, they're saying, oh no, it could one-shot light mechs. Heavy Gauss is way better projectile velocity. And, the Fafnir has way better convergence. King Crab's convergence and really low slung arms, really hot weapons and all that is terrible.
Exactly.
Why is this the point you draw the line? And we've already in the past PGI were like, oh no, we with the awesome we gave it a universal PPC heat scale limit quirk. It's just going to be 3 heavy PPC awesomes taking over the game. No, you're fine. That 45 pinpoint alpha with cooldown, velocity, heat gen, and everything else, it's fine. It's actually almost, it almost makes it worth playing. That's the point of buffs.
Yep.
You make
Yeah.
things worth playing, PGI. But no, this is something I would say with PGI is like the balancing team's bias. It's something I said in the comment on the patch notes. They feel like, oh no, 2 AC20s can, it could be decisive in close quarters combat. Good. That's the point of close quarters combat weapons.
Well, that's why they use 18 tons freaking for AC-20s. This is designed to actually go in and be a brawler, close combat weapon. Period. End of story. So brawl as much as you can with these things. That's what 32. I mean, that's a crazy amount of tonnage to go and use for a brawler mech, for assault mech, and they're designed to come in and start wrecking people.
Yeah, exactly. You're building your mech around a playstyle that is very limited in your range. This is the whole classic thing with SRMs versus MRMs. SRMs only go to 270 meters. MRMs have to go to, they have twice the area that they can cover. So why take SRMs over MRMs when SRMs are incredibly vulnerable to AMS and they splat all over the place just like MRMs? Well, they are better at point blank, I'll give you that. But for the most part, MRMs are just so much more versatile. And PGI keeps giving nerfs to SRMs, nerfing like, oh no, AC-20s are too strong. You have Heavy Goose that not only is better at point blank range, for pinpoint damage, it can reach out to mid range. Why is it all the mid range options? Weapons that are really flexible, like ATMs, are given lavish treatments, brilliant missile per health. They're really damaging. They can fire much larger alpha volleys than Streaks ever can. But it's for some reason Streaks, the much more limited weapon system. For Inner Sphere, you only have 270 meters range, and you have terrible missile health. You have terrible number of tubes per ton, 0.6 health per missile per Streak 6. Why? Well, because, oh no, we don't want short range weapons to be good.
Yeah.
It's just, if you make it that way, then it's all just a mid-range, long-range slugfest. Which is okay, but I really like brawling.
A lot of people like brawling, actually.
Yeah, lots of people really like brawling, and small pulse lasers. Oh no, 5 damage for 1 ton. Imagine a weapon that could do 5 damage for 1 ton. Yes, a medium laser for much better range. But the point is, you want to do all that damage instantly because it's such a close range weapon. But no, short range weapons keep getting nerfed because PGI are like, oh no, this thing is too potent in a brawl. That's where they're supposed to be used. They can't be used anywhere else. Mid-range weapons, like the way they balance the game is that short-range weapons are slightly better than mid-range weapons. Well, if that's the case, if we're talking average effectiveness, I'm like, 1.2 effectiveness up close, 1 effect, and nothing else at longer ranges. Where if I take a mid-range weapon, I'm 1 effectiveness up close and 1 effectiveness at mid-range. On average, I'm 2 effectiveness rather than 1.2. So it feels awful when I'm taking an SRM brawler, an AC-20 brawler, and I finally get to close range, and I'm only slightly better than my opposition, and it's just I love what people have been saying in the comments about this AC-20 change. Someone just says, translation, we know that the solution is to give AC-20 heat scale limit Quirk, but we will never do it because you guys give the unforgivable mistake of suggesting it. Remember the PPC awesome? Think of all the heavy goose weapons. Someone else said, they are giving AC-20s for King Crabs 15% heat gen. That is nice. But what, let me just see, what's it called? There was someone who I put it quite nicely. It's like a lovely bed of flowers with a small yet very noticeable pile of cat vomit right in the middle. It's like, yes, it's nice, but just give people the heat scale limit quirk. We already have UAC 20 heat scale limit quirks in the game. You could already at close range do 40 in one go, 80 in shortly after.
It's powerful. It's I mean, you're spending that much tonnage, like I said, on a big gigantic cannon that you got to get within range. It has vulnerabilities as far as getting in range. I know that. But
Yeah.
Anyways,
one way to also look at the heat scale limit quirks is if you look at the whole list, we have medium laser, LRM5, medium laser, PPC, ER large laser, ER PPC, rocket, PPC, ER PPC, rocket, ER PPC, etc. Like, there's 2 long-range weapon quirks, heat scale limit quirks for every short-ranged one. And that's only if you include rockets as short-range weapons.
Rarely used.
And yeah, rockets, how should they really count? If you don't count rockets, it's like 3-1, 4-1. Long-range weapons are like this patch alone. You've got a 36 pinpoint alpha strike with 4 ER large lasers on them. You have 48 pinpoint long range alpha strike with 4 large pulse lasers, but they couldn't pull themselves to do 2 AC-20. Oh no, 40 pinpoint damage as opposed to 48 or 36 at half, if not a third, the range.
And you have ammo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have ammo, and it's way more heavy.
Okay, so next we got the 2 other mechs that are coming out with different quirks that are being adjusted or actually given, which is the Viper and the, hold down here, I think it's the Direwolf. Interesting.
Yep, Viper has been long overdue.
Oh yeah.
Some buffs. Survival of extra survival added to the legs, very good. That thing's legs get shot up when it jump jets.
Mm-hmm.
Extra survival added to the
Jump jets.
center torso of each one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the ones without hard points are getting survival, very good.
It needed this.
It needed this stuff. It feels like it really needs heat gen quirks. I think they have done jump jet heat gen, very good. I'm really upset or saddened that the Viper C doesn't get the same treatment as all the other variants. So the Viper C is one of the Vipers that has one of the best starting set of 8s, or at least the most balanced set of 8 quirks to start with. It has something along the lines of 4 machine guns and side torsos and 5 energy. I think it didn't get the it didn't get the survival for the center torso because it has an energy hard there, which is why a lot of people pick it. It has one more hard point than the others. I don't think necessarily it should get 10 like the others, but 5. Is 1 energy hard point really worth 10 survival? 10 points of armor on a 40 tonner? I don't think so. I think that's really mean. That's really unfair. And the only Viper I own is the Viper C.
So you're screwed. Nice.
Somewhat, and it's a real shame that it doesn't get a few like machine gun rate of fire quirk for its 4 machine guns for a set of 8. Give the Viper C a bone. Most people own the Viper C, and I don't know. It feels like you're giving a middle finger to the most popular mech of the Viper line for no reason.
Yeah.
In the end, though, it does still get the leg survival quirks, the jump jet stuff quirks, and a lot of these are still only getting set of 8s, and their set of 8s aren't that good. So they do need strong quirks to actually be worth taking. Like the Viper Prime can only take 1 missile in the arm, which falls off very quickly. So as long as that missile survives, it should have a good missile cooldown quirk, which together will be 25%, which is great. As long as that streak 6 survives, or whatever, it's firing fast.
It's still just nice. The Viper did need something, and I know there's a lot of people that I've been reading on Twitter that are very excited about this, about bringing out the Vipers again. So, I mean, literally, I haven't really seen Vipers that much played. Literally, I mean, almost never. And this is hopefully going to add more diversity to the game itself, having more different mechs out there. What?
There's a two-sided coin. The Viper is really weak, and it's also usually best used as a short-range mech. And short range, as I've been saying, has been getting the short end of the stick for a long time. It's been given the cold shoulder for a long time. And even when like people were asking for 2 AC-20s of the King Crab, PGI spit the community face about it. Short range keeps getting shat upon, and the Viper is a short range mech, or at least to get some real work done with it, you want to use machine guns, you want to use small pulse, still nerfed. At the very least, like, PGI, you've given so many mechs range quirks in this patch. Give the Viper 10% range because you love range.
Yep.
Oh, poor Viper. I mean, you're at least more survivable for medium range. I guess the best you can sort of do is medium lasers, and just scratch people at range because getting super close for small pulse lasers is super risky. and that's always been the Viper's playstyle. And
Yeah.
this survival was nice, but in the end, your whole playstyle as a Viper was built around not ever getting shot, and that is still the case because
Well,
short range is just so weak.
well, at least they got something now. They got
Yeah.
extra quirks and go ahead and help with that to help with the the base armor and everything. So it added something. I do think there'll be much more people playing this type of thing. So it'll be good. Be good to see something different, like on the
As I
field.
was saying, though, the Viper is best up close. Up close is really screwed right now.
Yeah.
So the Viper is still not going to be that viable. It's at least it really needed help, and it finally got some.
Yeah, true. The Direwolf, Prime S, UV, and W are getting bonus quirks. Torso turn rates. That's interesting because they actually did nerf that a long time ago for the W. They had nerfed the engine turn rates and everything. So this would be good actually with the quirk coming in for that. And a little bit of armor increases. That's not bad. Not bad at all. It's going to help out the Direwolf, obviously, for Assault Mech.
Yeah, these changes are kind of interesting or awkward in a way because a lot of Direwell builds will not actually get a lot of these buffs.
Yeah.
But it's good that they've finally given token benefits to the hard points that so if you're taking a lot of these hard points have side torsos for example have less hard points than other Direwells, and you got no quirks whatsoever if you chose the hard point with less weapons in it, which was silly. It's like, I could have the 2 missile hard point with no quirks, or I could have the 1 missile hard point with no quirks. I think there's some survival, but giving these hard points with less weapons in them, more quirks is good.
Yeah.
Do I think these quirks really make it worth taking? Not too much, though. They do have some niche. They do add a lot more build potential for the Direwell, which I like.
Basically for the person that uses that, like, remember, like, I was happy when they actually brought in the Zeal quirks when they fixed armor, when they fixed the right and left torso. I was like, okay, cool. It's just something different that they added into it. And if you're a Direwolf pilot, you got some extra stuff to it, and that's it. That's how I look at it. Basically, as far as like, am I going to pick this mech? No, I'm not a clan. I'm not a clan player. Plus, I don't like assaults, so I'm not going to pick these mechs. But I might, I might take out a mothball like the Vipers, or even be happy about the Hunchback 4J, which I am. So it's like, cool. I got the mech. I like using the mech, so now it added some extra doodads that I could go and do stuff with it. Now I'm gonna bring it out of mothball, so that's a good thing. Like, all these quirks are like that way. They're not gonna be the end all be all. Like, this is gonna change, dynamically change the system, but they're just there anyways. If you use these mechs, cool. If not, don't worry about them.
Yeah, I still think looking through Direwell hard points, this is an improvement, but it's not a comprehensive improvement to Direwells. At least to all the hard points. Like, if I were doing this job properly, the Direwolf A right torso has only a single AMS and some survival quirks. That's it. It doesn't even have a weapon in it. Like, it's a little bit like it just feels like all the hard points, all the omnipods without hard points should be getting buffs to make them viable over the ones that do. And this is a step in the right direction, but it's not looking at the entire Direwolf line. It's or at least it's not it's not strong enough. It's not enough meat and potatoes to really make it worthwhile. And for me at least, like, I'm looking at one of my Direwolf builds. I use the Direwolf A side torso because it gave durability, and now I just have to switch it out for Direwolf Prime. In fact, I'll do that now. Why not? To get that extra 5% heat. But really, both of them, like, 5% heat versus an AMS is almost no question. Though, I mean, AMS is pretty strong. 5% heat is so good.
Yeah.
Why give that AMS side torso an AMS range quirk? Come on, a token range quirk. You like range, don't you? More range quirks.
But, like, all in all, they are getting some buffs, which is good. All these different mechs are good to go ahead and, like, I guess you have them cool, just like I was explaining. So
in the end, a whole bunch of token increases, usually range increases, because we're entering the ranged meta. which is fine. It makes more mechs viable in the ranged meta. The only ones that really got the big improvements were somewhat to say the Hunchback 2C hero, the Viper. They're still mostly obsolete. Yeah, and little bits here and there.
Yeah. So and just a little extra stuff. Hibernal Rift is getting brightness tweaked down, so that's going to definitely help our blindness on that place. These are just
Good.
other, yeah, very good, very very nice. I never had a problem with the floating invisible platform, but apparently it's there.
At least that's gone.
Yeah, at
Yep.
least it's gone. 15% general. Like we don't normally actually go through these.
We covered that.
Yeah, and we covered that. So, getting hit by narc, missile, or tag legendary stops point capture process as of taking damage. That's interesting. So
That was always hilarious. I like that exploit.
We
Why am I not capturing? Oh, there's a laser up.
Yeah, exactly. All the rest are just kind of like general things, but these are actually really good improvements. They quality of life improvements are going to do for the game. Obviously, the blindness was going to definitely help. The rewards are going to definitely help, as we explained like before. As far as the narc thing, I never really used that, so I'm not really.
Those are very niche.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
but the
niche
biggest
stuff.
thing this patch introduces 15% more earnings for everything, more or less. A whole bunch new mechs, mostly heavy mechs.
Yeah.
Most of them are obsolete already, or at least they're not. They're not the strongest mechs, so to speak. They're not peak meta. They're not super strong. They're there. They exist. They'll be able to get the job done.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of incidental improvements, usually giving mechs range or missile LRM velocity, because that's what we need. More range, more LRMs. Woohoo!
So everyone, thank you for watching and listening to the First Circuit podcast number 86,000. We appreciate everything you guys do, and thank you very much. And we'll see you on the battlefield.
Clark.
Clark.